Imagine being lost at sea after a life-changing accident, only to rise and lead sustainability initiatives in one of the world's most dynamic regions. What can we learn from someone who's faced the ultimate test of resilience and turned it into a mission for impact? This is Tools of the Humans. We are welcoming to the show Seneca Cottom. Welcome to the show, Seneca.
Thank you for having me.
Seneca's inspiring journey from a life-altering accident to a leadership role in sustainability is what we're going to talk today. You've been a business expert for the last 20 years, spanning from sustainability to operational efficiency and strategic implementation. You lead right now sustainability. You're head of sustainability in one of the major organizations in the Middle East, and you're focusing on impactful environmental programs and resource efficiency strategies. You're also studying for a master in sustainability, so almost there. But there was a challenge that effectively changed your life and changed your lifestyle. Tell us in 100 words who is Seneca Cottom.
Ooh, in 100 words.
You can use more, you can use less. I mean, I'm not that.
No, I think I would describe myself as a thinker, a person who is full of curiosity, and a person who wants to change the way the world is. I want to leave the world a better place. And I want to, I want my legacy to be that of changing and making my nieces and nephews and family, making them proud of me and making the world someplace that I want to be in the future. And I want to leave for others to have in the future. I think that describes me.
Yes, that's really great because, this is what matters to a podcast like Tools of the Humans, where effectively we discuss about tools and strategies that and mindsets that help us to go through challenges, to innovate, to make the difference. So it was born from my curiosity as well of understanding a little bit better the human behaviors, and effectively me being vegan. Of course, it's a little bit kind of a big, let's say, abrupt comparison between what I do as a fighter pilot and being vegan. Okay, there is a big contrast there. But
wait, I will have to say that being vegan and being a fighter pilot are two very complex, very difficult things to do.
Yes,
So
yes.
I think they're the same.
Yes.
I tried to be vegan for 6 months. It was the hardest change in my life ever.
It's complicated, but then you become very practical. Okay, very practical. We talked about briefly about your experience, more than 20 years. In your role, what is your approach to sustainability? What is your approach? What is your vision?
So for me, one of the things that I think a lot of people think of when they think of sustainability, they think about just, let's save the planet, right? But that's not what sustainability is. Sustainability is really so much more broad than that. Sustainability covers not just, the environment and animals and diversity in nature, but it's also us, it's people. And how do people survive on this planet? How do people live the best lives? How do people build resilience in the face of all of the environmental challenges that we have? And so when I'm approaching sustainability, I approach it from both of those pillars, but I also look at it from a practical standpoint. Sustainability also means financial stability because, we can't make these changes without money. And so everything that I'm doing and everything that I think about is from the lens of those three pillars. which are the basis of sustainability. It's the people, it's the planet, and it's the profit. Right now, for the business that I'm in, because it's a retail company, my focus is really around what are the impacts that we have on those things. So what are the impacts that we have on people? And that could be that could be related to our products, the products that we sell, the impacts that our products have. But also, we have a big responsibility around the waste that our products create. We're bringing all of these things into the markets where we operate. People have to throw these things away. Everything that we have ends up in a landfill. So how do we as a business make sure that we are not contributing to filling up landfills, how we're making sure that our customers have the opportunity to get rid of the stuff in a sustainable way so that they're not creating impact? Then it's also our responsibility to help our customers understand sustainability and understand what choices they have and how to make better choices. So as I'm going through this whole thing of sustainability for the organization, I really want to focus on those things. And I think that when you focus holistically on sustainability from a corporate perspective, that's where you find the opportunity, and that's where you create efficiency. That's where you generate more income. That's where you create savings. So that's the business perspective that I think people often don't look at.
It's kind of thinking a little bit out of the box. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the one of the episodes, we had the dean of the University of Turin, Polytechnic of Turin, Professor Saracco, and he was saying that sustainability. He was talking about sustainability. So he said, the Earth is gonna save itself. Okay,
Exactly.
it's us that we are not gonna be there. Okay, so we
Well,
try to destroy the world, but in the end, we're just damaging our legacy.
yeah, but
Um,
that's what it is. I mean, in COVID was a prime example. And I believe that COVID was just exactly what you're saying. And in the human body, what happens in the human body when you're sick? Your T cells line up, they start attacking all of the invading, viruses and all of that in your body. The earth is a living thing. I think people forget that the earth itself is a living thing. And that's what was happening. It was the earth just saying, you know what? You guys I need to control what's happening to me. And you saw the impact of us being in the house for that year and a half. Nature came back, saw animals, animals were everywhere. You could see them, the earth started to heal itself. And so we should realize, at least I realized, that we're the problem, we're the virus. And so, like you said, the earth is going to cure itself one way or the other.
I think this episode, our friend Miguel Villarreal, it was in a previous show, will love what you're saying because he's the president of Farm to School in America.
Mm-hmm.
And he had so many initiatives regarding waste and how to manage, those veggies that they don't go to the posh shop, but they can go to
Mm-hmm.
schools to help inclusivity and to help families that
Yeah.
they don't we call them in Italy the 3 weeks family. They don't have money to get through the month. Um, Definitely, to tackle all these topics, you must have pretty good skills. Okay, it's something that some people don't digest properly. What do you think are the tools and the skills that you have learned?
So I think I just had this conversation with my former intern because she's still out there looking for a job. She's graduated from uni with a degree in environmental science and she wants to go into sustainability. And she's struggling trying to find a role in sustainability. And one of the things that I was telling her was that I think there is this old school thinking about about hiring people in sustainability roles that you need to have you need to have a degree in environmental science, or you need to have this experience in very specific niche sustainability topics. But what's served me, because I don't have a sustainability background, I have my actual background for over a decade was in corporate real estate and corporate real estate strategy. Um, and I pivoted, and I guess we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I did a major pivot into sustainability. Um, but what's important in sustainability? Sustainability is about problem solving. That's everything that I do every day. That's everything that anybody in a sustainability profession, that's what we're doing. We're identifying problems, we're identifying risk, and then we're solving for that. So it's really important, and that's one of my strong suits is problem solving. I'm really good at being able to see a problem from a bunch of different angles, and identifying where the pain points are and how to solve the pain point. Or if I'm not able to solve the pain point, identifying who can give me the right information so that we can solve that pain point. So it's really about that. And the other is about curiosity. And you have to be, I think to be in sustainability, you have to have an innate curiosity and an innate need to understand things. And that's what I have. I have this I need to understand how things work. And then if I see it's not working properly, I need to fix it. That's just a drive that I have. And I think those are the two skills that have served me, not just in sustainability, but in my entire career. But especially in sustainability, is that hunger for information and understanding, and also also a persistence. You have to be very persistent in this. But I think that all of the other skills in sustainability are all learnable skills. You can learn how to do greenhouse gas accounting. You can learn how to do reporting. But if you don't have curiosity, if you're not a good problem solver, you're just not going to be successful in a sustainability role.
When I introduced you before, I was talking about big life-threatening situation that you coped with a few years back. Can you tell us a little bit the story?
Yeah.
Because when we met, I never met you before, and then our common friend was like, "Come over, listen to this." I was like, "Okay, why?" But this is a good episode for the tools of the humans because the way that you reacted. But let's hear it from you.
So in 2019, interestingly, right before COVID, it was Christmas 2019. I was traveling in Guinea in West Africa, which is I travel there a lot. We have friends who are from there. We spend a lot of time there. And on this trip, we took a trip. We have to take a small boat out to these islands that they have, because they have some of the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful beaches in Guinea that no one knows about. And so we traveled to this island on this tiny, tiny boat. And there were 15, 16 of us, my friends and their family and us. When we got to the island, we had a wonderful day, probably one of the best days ever on the beach, having fun, a great, great, great beach day. It ended with, we had met this gentleman a couple of days before, and he had a little tiny restaurant, an open air restaurant on this island. And he invited us there, and he cooked us this amazing meal. We had live music. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. And when it was time to go, our boat didn't come back. And we waited and waited, and the boat didn't come back. And when the boat finally arrived, it was just about sunset. And it was a 30-40 minute ride on this boat to get back to the mainland. But we couldn't, and we didn't want to go in the dark, but we couldn't stay because there was no lodging on this island. So we decided we were going to get on this boat anyway, got on the boat. And as we're going, beautiful, clear night, the sun sets, beautiful, clear night. It's amazing. And I'm looking up at the sky, and then all of a sudden I hear this cracking noise. And I look up, and there was a boat above my head. Our boat collided directly, a head-on collision with another boat. And when the boats collided, the other boat shot straight up in the air and came straight down on top of us. But as it was coming down, I realized that I'm going to die. There's no possible way that a boat is going to fall on top of me and I'm going to survive. And so I accepted that in that moment. And I just was like, well, close your eyes and just be calm.
That's it.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. I closed my eyes and I was very calm. I'm very surprised at that, though, to be honest with you. And then when I opened my eyes, it was just dark. It was just pitch black dark. And I was floating. And I thought that I was dead because you don't actually know what it is to be dead. And I was just floating and it was dark and I couldn't see anything. And so I accepted that I was dead and this is what dead was. And then I hit my head.
Were you floating because you had a jacket?
I did.
Okay,
I did. And I had the jacket on and then I floated up and I hit my head on the bottom of the boat. And then I realized I wasn't dead. You realize, okay, I just hit my head. Probably doesn't happen when you're dead. And so then I realized, okay, I need to be undead. I need to stay alive. And so then I had a moment where I had to kind of figure out, how do I get out of this? I don't know where the propeller is because I don't know what orientation I'm in. And I don't know which way to go. So I need to be very careful, but I'm going to need to breathe soon. So I kind of felt my way from under the boat. And when I got out, I took a deep breath. And as I looked up, the people on our boat were pushing the wreckage of the other boat off of them. And when they did that, they didn't know I was in the water. When they did that, they threw the wreckage on top of me. And so at that point, I'm going back down because the wreckage is on top of me. And we were next to a whirlpool at the time. And so when I got into the whirlpool, I'm spinning. But I'm thinking, you know what? I have on a life vest. I just need to hold my breath. I will come back up. I just need to stay calm, hold my breath. And I did. I stayed calm. I held my breath and I came back up. But when I came back up, I was alone. My friends, my husband, no one was there. It was just me. There was no boat. There was no wreckage. There was nothing. I was just by myself. And at that point, I had been very, very calm this whole time. And at that point, when I thought I had lost my husband, that's when I fell apart. I just absolutely fell apart, screaming, crying, the whole nine. But then I realized, I'm alive. My husband could be alive somewhere. So I need to stay alive so that I can find him. And that was my main thought, is that I need to stay alive so that I can find my husband. And so I didn't know what to do because I'm just in the water. And remember, we're like 30 minutes boat ride from the shore. And
That's
I'm
quite
like,
a distance.
Yeah. So it's like, there's no possible way I can swim anywhere. And I forgot to tell you, I don't swim. Like, I know how to swim. I learned how to swim in university, but I have not swam since I was probably 19 years old up until that day. I'm absolutely petrified of water. And my worst nightmare is to drown in open water. my worst nightmare.
You were living not the dream, but you were living your night.
I was living the nightmare.
But
and at this point,
when you were alone, when you were like, realized you were alone, what was the sound? You remember what was this?
It was just
silent.
water.
Yes.
It was just water. That's all you can hear.
That's horrible.
You can just
that's
hear
refined.
That's all you can hear. You just hear the water just going back and forth. And And then it's dark. I don't know what's in the water. Like, I have
Yeah.
no earthly clue what's in the water. I don't know at this point. I don't know if I'm hurt or cut or anything. I'm just in the water, floating in the water. Um, and so I just was like, I have to do something because I can't just sit here. So I just started swimming, and I swam and swam and swam and swam and swam and swam because I could see, pinpoints of light in a direction. And I'm like, I got to do something because I'll go crazy, just sitting here. Plus, I don't know if anybody can see me. This is the other thing. So there are other boats in this water, possibly. So all these things are going through my head, but I'm like, I got to do something because I'll go crazy. So I just started swimming, and I swam and swam and swam until my legs stopped working. And so then I was like, okay, at this point, it's probably about 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, okay, I can't swim anymore. I just have to survive until daylight because somebody will see me in the daylight. So I'm just going to stay here, and I'm just going to be here, and I'm just going to hope nothing's going to come and get me in this water. And so I just sat bobbing in the water for I don't know how long, by myself. And in that moment, you know, all you think about, it's really interesting. We think as humans, we are so connected with things, and money and material objects. We're so very connected to those things. But when you're in a situation where you don't actually know if you're going to survive, and remember, we had had the best, absolute best day ever. And it went from being the best day ever in an instant to being literally my worst nightmare. Um, and when you're just sitting there bobbing alone in the water, all you can think about is, your family. All you can think about is, like, I was thinking about my husband and where is he and is he okay? And my friends. My godson was on this boat with us. My best friends were on this boat with us, and this is all I'm thinking about. And you don't think about, you know, that Gucci bag or a new pair of shoes, because none of that, and it didn't matter how much money I had in that moment. No amount of money would have gotten me out of that situation. There's just none. So it's like we prioritize all of these material things, and we prioritize money and all of these things. And in the end, when it really matters, none of those things matter. Um, and all you have is who you are and who you associate yourself with, the people that love you, who are going to remember you when you're not there, who are going to come looking for you when you're lost at sea, right? Um, and so, yeah, so I'm sitting bobbing in the water, wondering, how I'm going to survive the night, and hopefully it doesn't get too cold and all of these things. Um, and then I hear, like, someone come out of the water, and this man literally pops out of the water out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from. There was no boat, there were no people, there was no nothing. He just came out of nowhere. I don't know who this man is. And he starts grabbing me. And I'm thinking he's trying to take my life vest because he doesn't have on a life vest. And I'm assuming he's probably from the other boat. Because I know everybody on our boat. And I'm assuming he's from the other boat. And so he grabs me, and he's just grabbing me. And I'm like fighting him off because I think he's trying to take my life vest. So he's yelling at me in French. I'm yelling at him in English. He keeps grabbing me, my life vest. He just keeps grabbing me. And I'm just like fighting him. I'm like, we're literally battling. We're literally fighting each other. And then he grabbed me by the shoulders, and he turned me. He just turned me around, literally 180 degrees. He turns me around. And in the distance, I can see flashing lights where my friends, my husband, they were looking for me. So they had gotten the boat working enough to start looking for me. And so they were looking for me, but I was so far away that I couldn't hear them or see them because I was turned the wrong way anyway as they were getting closer. And so this gentleman, whoever he was, I have no clue who he was. I never talked to him after that moment or that few moments. It was a while. He pulled me. And this man was probably in his 60s, and he pulls me back to the boat because I can't swim at this point. I can't do anything. My legs don't work. So he pulled me literally all the way back to the boat. And as I'm getting closer to the boat, I start to hear my husband. And at that point, I'm like, I'm fine. Everything is going to be okay. My husband is alive. Anything else I can deal with, he's alive. And another interesting fun fact is that as I'm going, I'm exhausted at this point. I'm really, really exhausted. And my husband is yelling. So I'm yelling back. So they're yelling. So I'm yelling at them so that they know that I'm alive.
To find it, yeah.
Yeah, and they can start trying to find me, right? And my husband's like yelling, like he keeps calling me. And I know that they're just trying to find me, but I'm so exhausted. I'm like, shut up. I don't want to talk anymore. Just find me. It's really funny how your brain, just completely what you think about when you're in these situations. But yeah, so they did find me. And again, I was super calm for the majority of that time. And they pulled me back onto the boat. And at that point, then everything is chaos on the boat because someone actually lost part of his face. Someone ended it. He didn't die on the boat, but he did die a few days later. We had lots of injuries and things on the boat. There was screaming and crying. So it was a whole other thing. Because remember, my experience was very solitary. Everything was very quiet and very serene.
But the other people, they saw the drama, dramatic situation,
Yeah. So when I get on the boat, it's a whole other thing, and it's just screaming, and it was just a whole other trauma that I was experiencing, a whole new trauma, and I was re-traumatized. And then they took us there was a nearby island, a different island, and this island happened to have some cabanas on it, and the proprietor on the island let us have some rooms so we could stay the night. Because of course we're not getting on another boat, so we waited for the morning and for another boat to come and get us and take us back to the mainland. The injured people were taken, of course, back to the hospital immediately. And as I mentioned, someone passed away a couple of days later. Another gentleman lost part of his face. We had, nothing, some broken ribs and things like that. So people were injured. But we made it for the most part, and we made it through. And it's really interesting. I was very calm during that whole time, but once the adrenaline, I guess, drained, it was awful. All of the panic sank in after I was on dry land.
Yeah, it was like kind of a rebound, probably in the moment. Do you have an idea of the time frame that you were there alone? I mean, to get exhausted, probably it's been like an hour.
Yeah, this is what we think. Because, everybody lost time.
Everybody lost time, yeah.
Yeah, so nobody knows how long it actually was. And going back to what I said about, it's the people and having people that love you and fostering those relationships. There was another person on our boat that got lost as well. But everybody, he was the fiance of my friend's cousin, but no one knew him. Everybody on the boat was looking for me, and they found me, and we were starting to go back, and she realized that he was gone and he wasn't there. So they had to send another group of boats out to go look for him, but they had no one knew he was gone. They were only looking for me. So it was really important, to have fostered all of these relationships. but that's, in the end, that's what matters. It's the relationships that you have with people. It's the legacy that you leave. And those are the things that will sustain you in these moments.
Mamma mia. I remember when you told the story the first time, you're using the same words, you're using the same expression. So it's something that is still stuck. I mean, thinking about this is not probably traumatizing anymore, but it is.
No, it's not.
Okay. Yeah. You
But
went through.
it's taken a lot. I think, to be honest with you, I think the recovery from that was far more difficult than the actual
Oh,
experience.
of course. It's always coming back until you are completely healed, and probably you will never heal from it,
Yeah.
But obviously you learned, or you either have them already in you, uh, certain skills that allowed you to survive in the moment. You had the right mindset, you had the right calmness at some point. It's like, okay, what can I do? Be stoic. It's coming. But you cannot do anything about it. But surviving. So you're living the moment. You're thinking about time. That is like, okay, my time is finished on this planet, but wait, let me be present and see what's going on. So I think this one is highlighting really something that you approve there. And some people, something like this happen, they get the rush of the adrenaline in the moment, and then after that, panic. I have plenty of stories of friends that they had like night ejection from the airplane, and they stay in the water for like 1 hour and a half. And their story, even if you're a fighter pilot, it was something that they were telling you. Like this guy was telling, the search and rescue with an helicopter could not go because the sea was too high, and they would see the light, and then the light would disappear because it was behind the waves. So the waves were so high. So when finally got him, he had to spit like algae for like days because the sea was rough and everything. But to go back to what you said, was telling the story. It's like, okay, my name is written in pen this time. I need to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like
Yeah.
calm and quiet. It's done. But then you're present, and then you come out from the situation. You get your bits and pieces together. A little bit of luck, maybe, but also being present.
I am not a religious person, so I don't do like organized religion, but I do believe that there is a higher power. And that's one of the things that I took out of the situation, is that I am meant to be here, and I am meant to be here for a reason. So I need to take, a lot of people, as you mentioned, a lot of people wouldn't have survived that. They would have panicked. They would have gone a whole other way, right? But something was put into me to be calm, to be stoic, as you said, and just to, really analyze the situation and try to make the best decisions possible in the moment. Which, if you ask my husband, he even says to this day, he's like, yeah, I didn't think we were going to survive. He was he's very clear about that. He was not, in the moment, he didn't think I would have been able to survive something like that because of my natural personality that you see on an everyday basis. So something is in me, or something was in me in that moment to survive. And there's a reason. So that takes me back to this role. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to change my career path. And I had actually gotten this role literally days before this accident. Literally days. I got the role. But when I came back, it really invigorated me and pushed me to really want to leave a legacy, and to know that I am here for a reason, and I'm here to do something really good in this world. And I want to make sure that me surviving this has meaning beyond me.
Life-threatening, life-challenging, life-changing as well. The event like
Yeah.
this. What are the practical things that you have learned and you have been able then to put into practice after this experience? I mean, like literally, if you're looking you the day before the accident and looking you the day after, probably not the
Mhm.
day after, but until you'd processed everything on the day after, you were like, okay, I don't want to see water anymore. But you into different points of your life, probably you
Yeah.
you you change completely
Yeah. Yeah.
vision. So from the practical point of view, what did it change?
I think so. So one of the things that was a major, major change for me is my outlook on life in general. Um, I don't take any moment for granted because you know how there's the saying that tomorrow is never promised. It is not tomorrow. 1 minute from now is not promised. And so I really am very conscious now, much more so than before, about how I use my time and what I put my time to. And it has to be, I have to feel like what I'm doing is benefiting me, benefiting other people, and making the world a better place. So that has, jumped on my priority list. The other practice, so I'm going through. So I suffer from PTSD, of course. I think that would be a given. Um, but I had some serious problems with PTSD, and I was agoraphobic for a while, so I wouldn't go outside. I forced myself to go outside. Luckily, it was pandemic, so it limited the amount that I needed to go outside. But I would have panic attacks anytime I stepped outside of my house because in my head, everything was going to kill me for a while. Like I thought everything was going to kill me. Um, but through that process, and I also stopped being able to speak. That was one of the symptoms of my ADHD. I had trouble speaking, so I wasn't able to formulate sentences properly. And so I went through a phase where I thought I was going crazy. Um, I have always been known for my intelligence, always been known for being very articulate. And so when I was going through PTSD, the brunt of the PTSD, and I couldn't speak, I couldn't formulate sentences. I literally thought I was going crazy. And I was working through this. I was still working. It was pandemic. I was still getting on calls. I was still working 12, 14 hours a day during the pandemic. I was still doing that. And so one of the things that I learned from this, because it got so bad, like I said, that I stopped being able to speak. So I had to stop working. And I realized that I can't sacrifice myself for a job. I can't sacrifice my physical health or my mental health just for a job. Um, and and I think especially the people that are probably listening to your podcast, we tend to be those type A personalities that are hard driving, that we want to go, go, go. We want to achieve. We want to do. We want to, earn more money. And, we want to do all of those things. And one of the practical things that I learned is that you can't do those things if your body can't do those things. If your body says stop, you have to stop. Like your body will stop on its own. It will stop you.
When you mean body, it's like physical,
This
how do I say, manifestation of the trauma.
exactly, exactly.
Mm-mm.
And so, but we often do that. We often do that. We don't listen to our bodies, and we keep going, and we keep pushing, and we keep pushing until our bodies give out. Or maybe your body hasn't given out yet, but it will. if you ignore it. And so that was one of the things, one of the big takeaways of this whole experience is that I listened to my body. I let my body dictate what I do. If my body is telling me you need to rest, then I rest. If my body says you're doing too much, I take a break. I meditate. I do, I give myself, and that's what's building up, I think, a new level of resilience in me, both mentally and physically, because I can handle more things because I know when to stop.
That's really good. That's really good. I just finished reading "Stillness is the Key" from Ryan Holiday. Is Stoic philosopher, and he divides the realm of us in spirit, mind, and body. And obviously the mind is the one that is making tricks, because you cannot control the spirit. It's just instinct animal. But the mind, you should be able to control it in order to control the body. But if the body is not up to speed, we say mens sana in corpore sano. If this body is not healthy, then the mind is playing tricks. So it's really evident there that there was this link. There was a disconnect between the two, where you were not able to control. And you said therapy obviously helped you a lot to remove the trauma and to fix a little bit, like to give you a we call it wings level. When you have a problem when you're flying and there is an emergency, okay, put the wings level, so that now you have your horizon and you can, okay, now I can fly straight. Let me check what is the problem. You look at the caption now, you analyze the situation, then okay, you're gonna solve the problem. So what was the best of the practices that effectively work for you as an advice to people that might have PTSD from challenges like this?
So I recommend, I had EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization. I never can remember the R. And I had done, so the reason why I got therapy, because I was up until that point one of those people who's like, oh, I can deal with it. I'm okay. Until I wasn't. And I actually became suicidal because I couldn't understand why I couldn't control. I'm like, I don't know how to control what's happening to me. If I can't speak, how am I going to navigate this world if my brain doesn't work the way that I need it to work? So I actually got suicide. I was suicidal. I was having panic attacks, 5, 6, 7 panic attacks a day. It was literally awful. And so I made a decision that I was going to do some research, because I was like, I had gone to my psychiatrist. She'd given me medicine. Really, I couldn't take it. So I did some research on different therapies for PTSD. And that's when I found EMDR, which has been used for soldiers and trauma victims. It's well known. It's a well-known therapy. And it was COVID. So I was like, how am I going to, how am I going to interact? Yeah. And so I went online and I found a therapist online that would do it online, because everybody was moving towards that anyway because of COVID.
Yeah.
And she said to me, I've never done this virtually before. She's like, but we'll try it because you need it. So we'll try it and see what happens. And so what EMDR is, that, and I learned a lot about PTSD during this process, because again, I'm very curious. I like to know how things work. And that what it does is it uses, so during the rapid eye movement stage of sleep, that's when your brain heals itself. It purges and it heals. And so what this therapy does is it mimics that. So you watch the person's hands move forward and back, up and down, different ways. And as you do that, you recall the trauma. And it helps your brain process that much faster. Because PTSD, just like in simple terms, is that the fight or flight switch gets turned on. But because you're in a situation where it can't turn off, it stays on. So, because you know, and so that's what's happening. So this EMDR helps to flip that switch back off. And so I did that. And the first session, very weird. But after the first session, I couldn't walk. So it was literally like my body was reliving that experience. And I couldn't walk for a good 6-7 hours. I just could only lay in the bed. I couldn't stand. But after that session, the panic attacks dropped to once a day, twice a day, from 5 or 6 panic attacks a day to 1 or 2 a day. Then by the 6th session, I didn't have any panic attacks. I could recall the situation without having a panic attack. It was the best therapeutic intervention I could have ever thought of or come across, because it helped in a very short time alleviate the worst of the symptoms of PTSD. And then subsequently, I did some therapeutic yoga to remove more trauma from my body, from my physical body. So I did some therapeutic yoga, coupled with meditation and things like that. But through those, that's what's really done it.
I know it quite well because we had a few episodes in season 1 with Russell Hemmings, who is an hypnotherapist in Dubai, and we interview an athlete that then I coach for triathlon, who needed this type of practice, and effectively, she was traumatized from a couple of accidents she had on the bike, and then she couldn't walk anymore. So at the point with the EMDR, it was able to get the cell of the events, remove them from the brain. Okay, these are and then she could talk about them at some point without being stressed or without being. It was not much more panic attack, but she was having like adrenaline rush every time, a car or a bike would pass close by because of the accident. So she was like all the times like this on adrenaline. It's not even pleasant, So it's really one of those tools that we discussed in the previous episode, because it's really effective and can help healing. And it's also, it helps in a way that you are willing to be helped, because sometimes if you put yourself in a situation where you don't want to look for help, I'm gonna help myself, then at this point the risk is to get even into a worse situation. When you were talking about suicidal, and this means that you thought you could do it by yourself, but as humans, we are social animals. We need to help each other and get some help in certain situations.
Yeah. And that was another lesson, that, you need to get help when you need help, right? You can't figure it out yourself all the time. And you need to get the help that you need, and not to be, discouraged or embarrassed or afraid of getting the help, because culturally, I'm Black American, and culturally we don't go to therapists, and that's not a common thing in our culture. And I would suspect, in a lot of cultures it's similar. So it's, there's this, and then on top of that, there's a stigma around PTSD. And I always get quite annoyed now when people jokingly say, "Oh, I have PTSD from going to Starbucks." No, you don't.
No, definitely not.
No, you don't.
Other type of trauma, they bring it to PTSD for sure.
Yeah.
I like the way that you discuss about the culture, because I come from military experience where therapy 30 years ago was something like, "Oh, what are you talking about? You're crazy," and I've seen people that they were kind of put into the hands of psychiatrists because they just said they were stressed. Nowadays in aviation, when we do the medical exam, we are always asked to fill in a questionnaire where you say if you're stressed or not. I mean, well, I don't know if I can say that or not, but anyway, one time I said, "Okay, I'm pretty stressed because I'm traveling a lot," And they
Mm-hmm.
go, okay, go and see the doctor. I said, the doctor said, you said you're stressed. Yes. I mean, like, it's good. I'm a fighter pilot. I know stress is good. Now,
Yes.
obviously, I don't know how I can hold it, but, and he was like, yeah, but I was all worried. So I was like, dude, the culture should be the ones that, okay, let's figure out what is the stress that you have right now. Okay. Is that
Yeah.
from dynamic lifestyle, or is that from suicidal intents when you are on an airplane? What is it? So
Mm-hmm.
still, I can see that the mentality approaching this type of things is still like, why, what is helping a lot, and you are as well a coach as well for leadership, is the coaching, because at this
Yeah.
point people don't see it like a therapy, and so is helping a little bit more in terms of, you know
That's
smoothing the corners, let's say.
yeah, that's a really good point, because I think that a lot of people are much more open to a coaching relationship than they would be to therapy. And I think coaching is kind of the gateway to therapy, because there are some things that you can't deal with coaching, right? And I think once you're in that one-on-one relationship where you're able to open up and speak to someone about things that might be a little bit sensitive, and it's someone that you trust, then it opens you up to maybe having that, a more professional conversation with someone who is a therapist. But it's a thing that, we shouldn't be afraid of. I'm hoping and I'm seeing that there is a shift, a cultural shift, just I think everywhere, that emphasizes mental health and the importance of mental health. And so I'm hoping that trend increases, because I think the brain, you mentioned it earlier, the brain is the start of a lot of physical problems. So if you can tackle the mental challenges that you're having, the stress loads that you're having, if you can tackle some of those, then you can avoid some of the physical ailments that are caused by stress and caused by all of these mental challenges. And it doesn't mean you're crazy. That's the other thing. It's like, I never understand why people think because you go to a therapist, you're crazy. No, I'm trying not to be crazy. That's exactly
Yes,
why you go to
that's
a
why.
therapist.
That's why.
I
Thank
don't
you,
want to be
really.
crazy. So let's get it all fixed and worked out. But yeah,
Thank you very much for this insight, because it's some people don't like to talk about these things, so it's really good to hear it from you. After the experience you have, we can see that the power of resilience in that situation, and also, to finding help, has shaped a little bit differently your purpose in life,
yeah,
which is, when we say life changing, well, what did it change? Like, you started going to bars. No, change in terms of purpose, and
yeah,
using sustainability as a tool for a long-term impact. This is
yeah,
an important part in your life, staying
yeah,
curious, adjusting, adapting. These are all really, I mean, from a life-threatening experience, you got some good value for the rest of your life. So that's really the important part. And the listeners, they can relate listening to the story. Like, you're done when you're done. Okay, so do the work. Okay, you're done when you're done. Continue improving. Continue try to be your best. To the
yes,
point that you can make a difference for others, for yourself, for others. Like, and in Italy we say the coffin doesn't have pockets, so in the end, you know, you know,
exactly.
you cannot carry the
Yeah,
wallet with you. There are enough
yeah,
for credit cards up there, so whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's just when you're in a situation like that and you make that revelation that there's nothing that will save you from the grave, right? Doesn't matter. Everybody is going to the same place. Doesn't matter how much money you have, how much stuff you have, how many hours you worked. Uh, we're all going to the same place at some point. So the only thing that you leave is a legacy. That's all you leave behind is your legacy.
Yep. There's one of the Stoic philosophers, I think the master of Alexander the Great, he said, him and his donkey, they're gonna end up in the same place. So really, but your peers, your friends, your family, these are the people that will stay, they will survive you, and they need to have a good memory from about us. Yeah.
Exactly.
Seneca, this was the last episode of Tools of the Humans. I really thank you very much for your words, for your kind words, and for your story. Your storytelling is very is amazing. Okay, also for the considerations that you made and what you're giving back. So I thank you very much. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I just hope that this can help someone.
Yes,
going through some same challenges.
It will. Thank you very much. Thank all the listeners. To the next year.
Have a good year. Bye-bye.